Section 1. You come first. Yourself is the priority. It's like being a cat with 100 people with laser pointers. Jamie Hines in Everyday Power. This quote depicts a representation of being differently able and present among a world full of pointing fingers. It is never ending, but it is a solution-oriented experience. In this section, information about being a person with ADHD and being with someone with ADHD has been written in detail. Introduction of the section. Brief history of ADHD has been passed from a defined timeline of the following years: 1902, 1936, 1952, 1955, 1980, 1987, 1990s, and the present decade. In the early 1900s, a British pediatrician named Sir George Frederick Still claimed this condition as a defect of moral control in children. This is because the affected children were unable to control their behavior regardless of adequate intelligence level. Moving forward from 1902, an approval of a medicinal treatment in 1936 for ADHD named Benzedrine. Within 1 year, Dr. Charles Bradley established a proposal that side effects are more harmful for ADHD than the medicine use. The Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, focused on the improvement of children in school performance with the help of this medication. The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, or DSM, of Mental Health Disorders published about this condition in 1968 for the second edition, following no recognition in the first edition that was appeared in 1952. Another popular drug to use as medication for ADHD was introduced as Ritalin. It is a methylphenidate and in use for treatment since 1955 when developed. Meanwhile, many names of the condition were changed, from attention deficit disorder, or ADD, to hyperactivity disorder as well. In 1987 and the early 2000s, the latest versions of DSM, edition 4th, and still today, the ADHD criteria is given for diagnosis. However, the subtypes have been removed, and it is characterized by 3 main areas to focus on behavior. They are attentiveness, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. Once the potential factors that develop ADHD and the management options, diagnosis increased to a great extent. Doctors began to recognize and identify the symptoms. Caregivers began to report the behavioral issues, and the rate of the cases consulting for treatment was improved. Medication options continued to increase, and people began to prefer those medications that provide long-term relief. 1. What is ADHD? This condition is characterized by a persistent pattern. This is very important to understand and accept that 3 major symptom categories of severe inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity continues to exhibit for lifetime in a range of settings, such as academic, family life, personal life, occupational life, social life, and so on. It interferes with the ability to function and develop. When a boy named Fred with ADHD is assigned an administrative duty to make a list of candidates appearing for a marathon competition in a city organized by an organization in which he is employed, he may find it difficult to stay focused on the names and might need a break in between his work to come back to the task and ensure that there is no error or repetitions. With the help of this case, you might relate to the hardship this condition brings when a person has to stop moving himself purposelessly and starts goal-oriented behavior for a long time. We cannot describe everyone's experience because there are individual differences and diversity exists due to personal perceptions of living with this condition as a subjective experience. How the adults with ADHD see themselves and survive daily is a struggle in itself with a unique context of self-image. Lived experiences of adults with ADHD provided a great insight in the context of affected individuals. The 3 themes that were similar surrounded around the following: otherness, living in the moment, challenging, broken. To elaborate on these ideas, the impact of ADHD on the lives of adults can be clearly reviewed. The unmet needs of these individuals are discussed in Western countries.